Welcome to the end of the year. It's a wonderful time to contemplate our lives, where we're at, what we're creating. And so I wanted to specifically support us today in getting really clear and creating peace around coming into a new year and what that looks like for all of us. So today's topic is really how to create a life with peace, releasing that chaos, and get really clear in how do we manifest? How do we create what more of what we want rather than what we don't want? And that can be really challenging when things are getting in the way, such as health and relationships feeling chaotic. The stress of the holidays can be very intense. And let's talk about that for just a moment, because stress is it's an interesting word that in and of itself, when we hear it, can cause a lot of chaos in our minds. So it's interesting how we all deal with stress in different ways. And those are what we call our coping mechanisms. So think for just a moment. I encourage you, if you're in an area where you can grab a pen and paper, today will be, it's my intention that we provide some insights, that I can provide you some insights about yourself, becoming more self-aware and understanding how your brain operates and how you react in life. So let's go to your own personal life. And if you can, write the word stress, and then underneath it, the things that cause you stress. This is helpful because everybody's triggers might be slightly different. For me, I notice it's when I have too much to do and I go into overwhelm. And as Dixie mentioned, too much to do, a lot of times is, or not Dixie, Darla mentioned the expectations that we have and that others have on us create stress. And so if we look at the word stress and what is underneath that for you, it could be that I am not meeting other people's expectations. So just be mindful if that is one of the stressors that you have going on. The other one, for me, I woke up in some very chaotic dreams. And I pay attention to my dreams. And in one of our podcasts, we're going to do dreams and interpret them and help you understand why you have certain dreams. But when I have a dream that things around me are a mess and I have deadlines. So it was interesting. The dream that I had was we were going on a trip and traveling. It was, which I do in the summer with my twin and her husband. And we were getting ready to go, and our stuff was everywhere in this, wasn't like a hotel room where it was all just in one place. It was scattered everywhere. And I was going, why is everything scattered everywhere? And then the dream previous to that one was I was hauling our RV and I lost it. It didn't get hooked up correctly. And so it was behind and I was in front of it, and I'm watching it in the rear view mirror that I lost the RV. And it was going to cause an accident. Now, I didn't feel like I was in danger, but I felt like the RV was about ready to get smashed. So that was interesting. Then I moved from that dream, which triggered kind of a feeling of loss of control, into this chaos. And we boarded the monorail to go catch our to go somewhere, and he's like, okay, load your luggage. Let's get all the luggage loaded. And he starts taking off. And I look at my sister and I go, luggage loaded? I didn't know we were going right now. We got to run and go get our luggage. And I run to go get our luggage, and our belongings are scattered everywhere. And I don't know how they got scattered everywhere, but I was frantically trying to find our belongings. And my sister had packed like the toiletries in a bin. And I'm like, you can't pack toiletries in a bin, Tammy. And she's like, oh, they're all organized in the bin. And I pick up this bin, and it's literally a bin to like in my basement. I'm like, you can't take this on an airplane full of full-size toiletries. Isn't that a glorious mess? And then I woke up to that. So the reason that these kinds of dreams are entertaining, because it will tell you where there is some stress in your current wake state. And I lay there after I wake up from it. Well, in the morning, this is my ritual. I wake up and I recap my dreams. And at first I'm like, what the hell am I dreaming that for? And I started noticing, I started to judge myself, like, what is going on that I dreamt that? And then I shift it really quick. I catch those thoughts of criticism and judgment, and I turn them around. And I go, oh, yeah. Last night I went downstairs to get a box to package one of my children's books in, and I was having a hard time finding the right size box because I started a project in the basement to organize. And if any of you do this, so I'm organizing the unfinished part of the house with boxes, and I bought a new set of shelves. And I am a person who likes to decorate. You know, you've been to my house. So I have decorations for every season, and I like them organized by that season. Well, I have all of the pillows and blankets for each season in bags. And the bags, I had to move them all. So now they're all on the floor. And I couldn't get to the boxes because all these bags are in the way until I get those boxes stacked back up. So it took me like 15 minutes to find a little box. Now, what's so entertaining about this story is what were my thoughts doing while I went looking for the box. Now, I had a stack of some boxes, and they had tipped over. And one box had some CDs in it. And I was like, I don't even know if I'll ever listen to those again. Okay, so there was that thought. Why am I holding on to that? Look at all this stuff on these shelves I need to go through. Yeah, I've got a project for myself. I don't need all that stuff. Oh, look at all these bags of pillows and blankets. I probably don't need this much, and they need to be more organized. So my self-talk was a bit harsh, going, my gosh, it's a good thing nobody's coming down into this basement. No wonder the kids couldn't come and play. There's no place for them to get to the toys. There's no trail. All the bags were everywhere. So if you walk down in the basement, it looks like a chaotic mess. Yet I'm in the corners, got things organized in the corners. So it's my ongoing project that I'm cleaning house and organizing. And I went to bed with those negative self-tapes running, like, oh, I should have had that done by now. Or I can't even move in the basement. If the grandkids come and play, they can't get to their toys. And why am I holding on to these things that I may never use? So noticing the self-judgments, it comes and goes so fast. I didn't recognize those self-judgments were that harsh until I woke up from a chaotic dream. So how I do my inner work is I pay attention to those dreams. because they are manifestations of what you've been thinking and feeling about. So after I put the puzzle together this morning, as I'm laying there going, what was that dream about? Feeling out of control, overwhelmed. And so to do the work, you go into, how did that dream make me feel? Out of control, overwhelmed, not organized or smart, putting these bags together like that. And then I giggled at myself because I went, oh, that's because you went down to your chaotic basement that's in the middle of being organized, and you had some self-judgments. And so I laid in bed and I giggled at myself, first of all, for the self-judgments, because I've done enough inner work to know that self-judgments are going to block your happiness faster than anything else. In fact, a judgment that you make on yourself or others, according to Jesus in the Way of Mastery, he says it retracts the cells in your body the moment you do it. So if we can be really mindful of the moment we do self-judgment, we can correct it. But it takes a lot of skills and a lot of awareness to raise your level of awareness to notice the moment that you self-judged. Now, I was married I was with a perfectionist for 25 years. And so self-judgment became part of my everyday language because I would hear it in my external world. And perfectionism is an expectation that Darla mentioned gets in the way of our happiness, because I have certain expectations of myself, and I know that others have certain expectations of me. And sometimes we can't fill those expectations. And being very mindful to say, what is the expectation that I had of myself that I'm judging myself for? Well, the expectation was that I would have all that organized by the time the holidays came. And of course, it was the holidays that initiated the whole organization, because you're pulling, I'm pulling out holiday decorations clear back from Halloween, then Thanksgiving, then Christmas. And I realized when we gather this stuff in our world, and granted, this stuff does bring me, it adds joy to my environment. But when this stuff gets too much, meaning it's taking your peace away, then it's too much stuff. And when you're not feeling peace in your life, you want to look at your external environment and say, where do I not feel, which room in my house do I not feel peace in? And that usually means you have too much stuff and it's cluttering your brain. So that's what happened in my sleep. And that's why I woke up in chaotic dreams. And once I had that awareness, I would put my hand on my chest and I forgive myself. I forgive myself for being so harsh and judging myself so harshly. I do enjoy the decorations, and I am organizing them in a way that I can find them easily. And I have a statement that I use for myself: a place for everything, and everything in its place keeps you ahead of life's hectic pace. It's a little jingle I did back in the 80s. And I have this expectation of myself. If I don't have a place to put it, if it's not in a place like put away, then I don't need it. And so I get to look at, if I have a place for these things and I can get to them and organize them in a way that I can get to them easily, then I can keep it. If it's not something that I can get to easily and it doesn't have a place and I can't find a place for it, then I get rid of it. So it's just kind of an expectation or a rule I do for myself to create an environment of peace for myself. And of course, we all have our own methods. So recognizing how you're feeling at all times will help you to be able to say, what is causing this stress? And so if you have a piece of paper, write on the top of it, stress, and then write down thoughts and feelings and what the environment is that's causing that stress. And as Arla mentioned, it could be an expectation or a judgment. So you'll notice that stress is caused not by the external environment of not having enough money for the holidays or having to work too much, not having enough time, or not being able to get everything done. That's not causing your stress. Those are triggers of what's already going on in your inner world. So the basement being chaotic is not causing my stress. No, a lot of people will argue this point with me. Of course, a flat tire is going to cause you to be stressed. But in mastery, it's actually how you are interpreting these events around you that is causing your stress. So let's take a deep breath, because that's a hard one to accept. What is going on in my external world, these people that are frustrated with me, my children aren't performing the way I think they should be, my spouse is mad at me, I don't have enough money to pay the bills. Whatever your external environment is, you can write that on your paper. That is the trigger. So as you have stress on your paper, and then you write the event, and then the thoughts and the feelings about that event. You'll notice that the chaotic basement for me is not causing my stress. It's my judgments on myself. When I went downstairs to package one of my children's books for a box, when I went downstairs to find a box, the judgments that ran through my head were very quick. And because I've done enough work, I can tell you what the judgments were. I know clearly what I said to myself because I'm self-aware of that, of my own talk. So being self-aware is so important on this journey of awakening. What caused me to judge myself? Well, the basement being chaotic. Okay. Now, is that something that I need to judge myself for? You get to really break it down. Now, my dreams were a depiction of my self-judgment. And recognizing when you have those chaotic dreams, ask yourself, where am I judging myself harshly? What were the thoughts and what are the feelings? And the feelings might be overwhelmed, anxious, tired, sad, even depression when we've run sadness for a long time. And just recognizing, breaking down and mapping out your system. Here's the event that created this, the external event that created the internal stress. Here's my interpretation about that event. Here's my perception, and here are my self-judgments, and write those out. And this is how I felt about it. Now, for me, I felt overwhelmed, disappointed in myself because I had that expectation that we talked about. And then going to bed with that residue running. Now, when I go to bed, I do a meditation of gratitude. This day is my creation and it is good. And I recommend we all do that. I mentioned that in the call yesterday. Today was my creation and it is good. It helps you to really take ownership of your life, and all of it's good. The messy, the good, the bad, whatever we're judging is good or bad, it's all good because we get to learn from it. Okay, so you have stress, you have the event that triggered that stress, you have your thoughts and perceptions about that event, and of course, that's your inner world. And then we have, how did that make you feel? Now, on your piece of paper, you have glorious mess, don't you? You have stress and events that cause stress. Now, we talked yesterday, health definitely can cause stress because we get worrisome about the future. Can my body take care of itself? Do I have someone to take care of me if my body can't take care of itself? So there's a lot of things, and especially in our society of what we've been trained to think and feel and believe about ourselves, that cause or trigger that stress, especially during the holidays. So let's all take a deep breath and take a moment to put your hand on that heart and give yourself some forgiveness for a moment. So take some deep breaths. I forgive myself for thinking, feeling, and believing that I was a chaotic mess, that I am a chaotic mess, that whatever those beliefs are. I know that I'm doing the best I can in this human condition, and I'm learning as I go. Now sit there for just a moment until you feel a shift happen from self-judgment to compassion. And take some deep breaths. You've been judging yourself harshly. You've been listening to other people's judgments about you. And sit with it for a second and be the observer of the thought and judgment that's going on, like clouds above that are floating by, recognizing that self-judgment. And now see those judgments floating outside of the mind and the body, become really aware of what they are and let them flow by. And repeat after me. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. These experiences do not define me. And breathe deeply as you watch the experience, as you observe the experience, as you observe what is happening in your thoughts. Be the observer of them. And remind yourself, I am a spark of the divine. And now as we look at this piece of paper and observe it from an external perspective, that I am not this chaotic mess, my beliefs have created the feelings that this is a chaotic mess. And so another step to take this deeper to help you to understand how you're manifesting your world is to say, what beliefs dictate this stress? And so the difference in a thought and a belief, if you look at your stress sheet, the difference in a thought and a belief is a thought you've had so many times, it's now a belief. It's your truth. And then we go from a belief to an identity, that this is part of my identity. And that could be, I feel worthless unless I super do. I'm not valued. I'm not important. I don't matter. I'm not good enough. I don't belong. All of those thoughts that you've had throughout your entire life, that you've had over and over again every day, become part of your identity. And we call those a deceptive identity, because it does deceive you. It lies to you. And it's a really good tool to become so self-aware that you understand that deceptive identity becomes really ingrained in every one of your upsets. And it's all self-fulfilled. No one's done it to you. Now, certainly our parents plant seeds, and teachers and friends and siblings, of our inadequacies, but we self-fulfill it when we believe it. So what heals this so that we can create a magnificent year for ourselves instead of one from limitation is to know that the story that we've been telling ourselves is just not true. It's what our humanness has done to create its truth, but it's not the truth of who we are. So we want to go into looking at what is it for me, what does the most blissful life I could possibly imagine, what does that look like? And ask yourself that question. And I've been using questions for affirmations that says, what makes me an enlightened millionaire, for example. And those what questions help give the brain the win list. Like, what makes me an enlightened millionaire is that every day I am very mindful and I do the work or the play necessary to change my thoughts, that change my feelings, that change my frequency, so that I feel good every day, despite what's happening in the body, despite what's happening in the bank account, despite what's happening with my children or my grandchildren, that I choose peace. And I choose peace by facing the shadowy parts, by facing the parts of me, like this morning, that said, oh my goodness, I've been in self-judgment for the chaos in my basement. And can I sit with that and be okay that those are my programmings? That's just what I've learned to do. It's not the truth of who I am. How does that feel? The more we can observe what we have created in our world, the more we become self-aware. And the first axiom that is so crucial to you creating a life you love is owning that you are the creator of your life. Whether you love it or not, you are still the creator. And this is where we do not have agency. We are manifestors. We are creators. You can't turn that off. Well, when you sleep, but we're not sleeping our whole life. So even when we're sleeping, we're processing. So how I create, and I love the week between Christmas and New Year's because I do so much self-reflecting. And I go back over the past year and I write down, first of all, I write down the parts of the year that were hard or stressful or to me did not feel like blissful living. And then I like to end that exercise with writing all the parts that were very blissful, that felt really good. And they could be a small win, like I paid this creditor, or it could be that we went on a glorious vacation and I created that vacation. Or it could be that I was able to sit and journal and feel self-love. So let's go to a moment, because I want to give you, this is where my clients and where myself, I've gotten good at it now, but it took some time. Find the wins in your reality. Find the wins in, when I say your reality, it's where you perceive a win over the past year. So let's go to a moment this past year where you felt really safe, okay? And you felt really loved. And just allow yourself to relax, your body to relax, and ask yourself, take me to a time this past year where I felt really good, where I felt safe, where I felt loved, where I felt relaxed, and where I felt at peace. And let yourself go to a memory. Now take a deep breath and breathe in the feelings of peace that you had in that moment. And open your heart up to receive. I felt really happy in this moment. And notice if there was something external that helped create that moment, and what your thoughts and feelings were about the event that you interpreted that were good. And then put your hand on your heart and anchor this feeling into the heart. And breathe deeply so that this feeling will go to all the cells of the body. And repeat, I am a divine creator. And I can recreate these moments of feeling good at any time. You may feel a warming sensation through the body. You may feel a tingling. You may feel blocked. Any of them are fine. Just become self-aware. Now, I recommend on your stress page, write down the opposing beliefs that I can create peace. I have had peaceful moments with no attachment to it, with nothing happening in my external world. I can deep breathe and know that I am worthy. I am a powerful creator. That one can be of benefit when you realize that just by doing this exercise we've been doing today, you are shifting out of shame and hopelessness to I am a powerful creator of love and peace and health and joy and freedom and abundance. The more you can recognize that you are creating at every given moment by these thoughts, you then can shift them. And I do this through my thoughtless thinking time. All of us cook meals, do dishes, clean the house, walk around, vacuum, whatever, that doesn't require a lot of thinking. So during your thoughtless thinking time, plant the seeds of love, compassion, understanding, forgiveness, and the words that you want in your life, such as, I am the creator of my life, and I choose in this moment to focus on my strengths and my wins. because I am a spiritual being having a human experience, and these human experiences do not make me unworthy or worthy. I am part of the divine creator. I cannot be separated from it. Create a script for yourself that is believable. Create a script for yourself that you can use to juxtapose those judgments, those self-judgments. And in the beginning, because in my reality, I was so programmed with my doings attached to my worthiness, my script was, I am of worth, I am of divine worth because I came into this existence, because I am connected to divine creator. I created a script for myself that had nothing to do with being worthy attached to something that I did. I am worthy of love. I am worthy of goodness and blessings because I am of divine offspring. No other reason. I can sit here and be of great worth. That to me was a really big one because of the programming, and my parents were both super doers to prove their value. And I grew up in my mind needing to prove my value. So in the last 5 years, that's where my focus has been, is I am of worth because I am. And I am of divine worth for no other explanation than because I am part of the divine creator. And as I shifted into really feeling that in the body and in the cells of the body, life became so much easier for me. Because our frequency changes, and every morning and every afternoon and every evening, I set an intention to be grateful for that worth, to be grateful that the sun is shining, to be grateful that I am having a human experience that teaches me about my worth through some of the duality that I have experienced. So as we create clarity then for what health and happiness look like for us, it makes it easier for us to create from the space of knowing what we want. So in the Blissful Living Journal that most of you have, you will write out your don't want list. Things that you are experiencing right now, and this is a great time to do this between Christmas and New Year, as you contemplate what healthy living looks like. You need to know what that looks like for you. And so as you write out your don't want list, which is an easy list to write out, it's all the things you've experienced in your life that you don't want to continue to experience, then that gives you the clarity for the do want list. And I divide this up into health, relationships, and it can be relationship with your beloved, with your siblings, with your children, with your grandchildren. Relationships in the Blissful Living Journal are all broken out for you, okay? Relationship with self, self-love, more self-compassion, more understanding. And write out those lists of what I don't want to experience to what I do want to experience. And then I recommend that you break your life down into those different segments and write it out a day in your ideal life. I am experiencing more freedom. One of my core values in life is freedom. I am experiencing more freedom as my body feels healthy, agile, capable, and strong. Those are words I use in my health section. I am experiencing more love and connection with my relationships as I experience more love and connection with myself, because I take time each day to sit down and love myself just because I am the divine offspring. And because I do that, I have the ability to have more love and connection for others. I am releasing self-judgments. The moment I experience them, I see them outside of me and I let them pass by like clouds. Isn't that beautiful? Take the time this week to really break down your life into those segments: health, relationships, career and money, relationship with self, relationship with your beloved, if you have one, relationship with your family members. What does a healthy relationship look like? Write it out in the present tense. And then read them, feel them. I do a relationship with my spiritual team. And if anybody would like, I use a little bit of AI help where I just created some pictures for my vision board of my spiritual team surrounding me. It was really beautiful and fun to create. So use pictures if you would like to help instill a feeling of peace, joy, love, gratitude. I every year create a calendar for Michael for the upcoming year, but I create it with pictures. And I take pictures from this past year that have been really feel good pictures. So when you take a picture and you go back and look at the picture, you'll actually recreate the feeling that you had when the picture was taken. And I became aware of this when years ago, 30 years ago, when there was a picture taken on Christmas Eve where I was not happy. And I looked at that picture, and for years I was like, ugh. I would look at that picture and feel that feeling again, until one day my team spirit encouraged me to look at that picture and say, look how far I've come from that moment that picture was taken, when I wasn't feeling good about myself or life or others. And look how far I've come. And hang that picture up and let it remind you how far you've come. But use pictures to instill feelings. I am a big picture taker. I take pictures when I feel good. When something brings me joy. Just if anybody noticed my Facebook story yesterday, we ran to the store and the clouds were in between the mountain and the sun was shining on them perfectly so. And I can post that picture. It was so beautiful. Just driving in the on the road and looking up and seeing that mountain and the clouds surrounding it and the peak of the mountain on top and the sun coming through brought me such a feeling of coming to this moment, of reminding me, come to the present moment and see my beauty around you. And bring in that level of just love and gratitude for the beauty that we have around us, that we notice the more we program gratitude and abundance of good things. So I use a calendar that I make every year to remind us of the great life we live and all of the things that help trigger good feelings within me. And it could be one of the little things Michael did this year was we bought a big giant inflatable ornament and hung it on the tree on the back golf course that's behind our house, because that tree's bent way over. And so he looks like a Charlie Brown tree. And the neighbors across the way brought us a little thank you card for doing that. And so I took a picture of that tree, and every time we go outside and sit, watch the sun come up, we look at the tree, and that just makes us giggle. It's cute and funny. And so I took a picture of the tree and put in the calendar for next December. So those are the things that I do that help instill joyful living and help instill that higher frequency of gratitude and love, self-compassion, understanding. Why are we so hard on ourselves? Because we've learned to be. And we think we need to be in order for us to get better. But I will tell you that's not the case. You get better the more you have compassion and self-love. The more you can understand yourself. And in February, we're going to be delving deep into self-love and relationships and healing relationships with ourselves and others. And January is all about creating, all about manifesting your heart's desires, creating a life you love in all of the areas. And so I'm excited to share the information with you. Keep practicing. It's a daily practice. Instead of looking at like a destination, you'll know that you've arrived at certain segments by the level of peace you have in your heart throughout the day for no reason. And so I want to close now with that. I've given you lots of exercises to do for the week to get really clear with your don't want, do want list, and then writing out from your do want list an ideal life in those different areas, your health, relationships, and career, money. And now let's bring in a feeling of gratitude for everything you're experiencing in life, because you are absorbing and learning the truth about who you are, and your desire is high to understand the truth of who you are. Congratulate yourself for being here. Congratulate yourself for being on the awakening path, awakening to the truth of who you are, that you are not the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, that you are not other people's expectations or even your own, that you are an extension of the divine creator. Feel their love for you now. Drop back into go up into your head and go back about 2 inches back into the pineal gland and infuse bright light there. That's where we awaken. And let that bright light drop down into your heart center now. I am of worth because I am. Take a deep breath and let it enter the cells of every part of your body. I look forward to hearing all about your results, and any blocks that you might have, you can leave also in the comments. I will be putting these videos up on YouTube if you would like to re-listen to them. I love you all, and I will see you in the new year.